Just a quick note before we start this week's show. We recorded this live in a pub after the West Ham match. So a little bit of anger, mostly drowned out by alcohol. There is some adult language, so if you're listening with children, I say it in the intro again, but I wanted to give you the heads up now before the show starts. If you're listening with children, I suggest maybe you wait till another time or put some headphones on. Okay? Here's the show.
You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
You just got to go out and express yourself.
Fonte with a scooping header.
You just got to get the job done. I'm here to get the job done.
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Bella. Onside, 1-0. Buffon shot. Oh my word.
Unbelievable. We ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It was very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt
Markstone. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans. My name is Matt Markstone, and no matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, thank you for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it. As you can tell, I am not in a noise-controlled environment. I am out exploring your wonderful country, and I'm still in London. It is currently raining. It is currently a little gloomy. Getting some hand signals from a man on a bus. I'm just going to go ahead and ignore that for now. But I am sitting here enjoying myself for the moment, just taking a second to record this. And as always, this podcast is partnered with the Saints Report. So for all your Southampton FC news and needs, be sure to visit the Saints Report on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. But obviously, as many of you will know, I am over in London this week. I was at the West Ham game for my first ever match, and it wasn't great. But I have a lot of people to thank for just making that opportunity possible. A lot of you have asked what happened with tickets, and all I will say about it is that I had tickets set up through somebody at the club who had the ability to get tickets, was trying to do me a favor, and it just didn't work out. And so it's nothing that person did on purpose. It wasn't anything they were trying to be rude or anything like that. It was just that it didn't work out. And so what had to happen was, as I was getting on the plane, I had to kind of put out the last minute call for tickets, and I found one. And special thanks to Gary H, WizIam on Twitter, and then Roy Vinner, who actually had the ticket, and to all three of you, and Freddie from The Ugly Inside, who basically had to babysit me through London and on the public transit lines. You've probably heard me say before, we have like one bus route where I live, and I don't use it. So I'm also partially colorblind, so the using the tube map and things like that would have been a challenge, but Freddie had me covered. So I did promise you guys all some beer, and I think I got too drunk to come through with that. So I apologize for that, but I will make it up to you. I do promise. I am a man of my word, and I will do that. So I'll be back. It's just one more excuse. I have to come back and make good on that. So on this episode, obviously, we didn't have the greatest result against West Ham. It was not the best match for me to attend, but I enjoyed it so very thoroughly. I cannot say thank you enough to all of you who have reached out and apologized for the team and things like that. As much as I'm disappointed in the way we played, and as big of a result as that is, for me personally right now, there's a lot of traffic, I'm sorry, but for me personally right now, getting to meet so many of you, just to see you in the ground and to see you afterwards at the pub, and to just spend time with you guys and talk and meet new people, it was the most special experience I've ever had in a sporting sense, and I have no regrets about any of it. Of course, I will always wish for a better result, but I would take something more humiliating, defeating, whatever you want to do, just to meet more of you guys, because that is really what this is all about. And we have some good reminders of that. And so on this week's episode, I met with the guys from The Ugly Inside, so Nick, Clive, and Freddie, and we sat down just to talk about what they were thinking at the time when they started the fanzine, what things were like, And like I said, we had kind of grand plans for doing this, and you can probably also see it on the Ugly Inside YouTube page because we did video record some of the conversation. But we met at the Crown and Cushion, which is a big pub here. Well, not a big pub, it's a small pub over on Westminster Bridge Street or something like that in London. And we met with them, and we sat in there, and it was busy. And we sat, had a few beers, and just kind of talked about what they were thinking when the Ugly Inside was started, and so and how it kind of developed into what it is now. So we talked about that for a while, and then we also got the opportunity to sit down and talk with Robbie and Gary, who are two of the members who have been around a long time with the London Saints. So celebrating 30 years of the Ugly Inside, 40 years of the London Saints, and just really having good conversations with those guys. And I will be honest with you that I don't drink a ton. And so to come over and have the recording at the end of a match day where I drink more than I normally do, you are going to hear some swear words. You are going to hear some things like that. So if you are offended by that, or if you have children that are listening, just know that this comes after a humiliating defeat and a long day and a long time in the pub. So know that is coming. If you are listening with children, I would recommend you probably wear some headphones or something like that. So anyway, once again, thank you to all of you who have reached out, who have helped make this trip special. I can't thank you enough. My family and I still have the rest of the week here in London and in the rest of the country. We're going to go down to Southampton this weekend. So we are really looking forward to exploring more. If you have travel ideas, travel tips, anything that I have to do, kind of the normal tourist stuff is there. Saw the London Jewels, things like that. We're going to be on the London Eye, all that stuff. So, but if you have something that maybe is off the beaten path that you think maybe we should do, we're going to see the Sea City Museum. We're going to visit St. Mary's. So anything else, feel free to reach out and let me know. It would be my pleasure to go ahead and do that for you. So anyway, I don't want to talk here too much. You'll notice this episode is mostly unedited, mostly because with the background noise and things that are in the pub, it's difficult to make clean edits, which is an issue. And also I'm sitting out here and, I have a vacation to enjoy. So I hope you enjoy it. Next week we'll be back with another episode. I actually had the opportunity to sit down and interview Anthony Amy over the phone a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to be proud to bring you that episode. I'm really looking forward to that. So that will be next week, and then we'll be back to normal after that. And, that's it. So for now, I'm going to get off of here and let you listen to my conversation with Nick, Clive, and Freddie of The Ugly Inside to help celebrate 30 years of the fanzine and what it's grown into. And directly after that, you'll hear from Robbie and Gary, who are two members of the London Saints. I hope it all sounds okay. Thanks a lot. I appreciate everything, and I'll talk to you soon.
So we'd like to welcome you guys to this live episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. We are here live at the Crown and Cushion. Keep calling it the Q and Cushion podcast. So at the Crown and Cushion, and we're here mostly to celebrate you guys having 30 years of The Ugly Inside. And so we're going to leave the result for today aside for a while, and let's just get into a little bit of who we have here, because people can't see everybody, and then why or how The Ugly Inside came about, and we'll talk about all that. So let's go around here and go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Nick Ellingsworth. I was the total genius behind The Ugly Inside. Clive piggybacked on me and Clive formed The Ugly Inside in 1988, and without the pair of us, it would never have happened.
No, it was ambitious at the start, because we just wanted to give fans a voice, an alternative voice, which hadn't been heard before. There was one fanzine called Junk Mail, which was probably more, and what should we say, to be favourable to them, an aged supporters viewpoint. Yeah. And we wanted to give the youngsters a bit more of a platform.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we probably had the idea for a fanzine 2 years earlier, when we used to have the End fanzine in Liverpool and the Ins and Outs was. And as early as 1984, we used to do a sort of printed sheet of ins and outs in the Painted Wagon Club.
The ins and outs. The ins was what was in at the time, and the outs obviously was what was out. So it was just a fashion thing in football, really, or anything really. Possibly music, possibly football. Could be even fashion, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
and it was very tongue in cheek.
It was, and that was as early as 1984, and we have the thoughts, but 1988, April 1988, there was probably by junk mail who did something, and we'd never done something, stirred us to do something, and what do we have above junk mail, really? We had enthusiasm, we were a bit more street rather than what they were.
Yeah.
And we went out.
We were even young in those days.
We were, yeah. I was 19.
Yeah, right.
But we went out and did it. And it's something to be proud of. I'm very proud of what we did as the Ugly Inside. And I'm very proud it's lasted 30 years. Because we were, the first couple of issues, we couldn't afford to have it printed properly. We got it printed in plain sheets, didn't we? We went in
photocopying,
stapling it ourselves, and a lot of things like that.
Selling it on street corners with dodgy looks from police officers.
Yeah.
And so it was all a bit higgledy-piggledy at the start, whichever word you want to look. Yeah.
But it is what defines us, and probably what the difference is now in the fact that nowadays you can go on social media, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Instagram, you can do anything and put that out. But at the time, there was none of that. We had to spend a lot of time producing a magazine, folding it up, stapling it, and standing on street corners.
So when this first started, when you guys are doing that, you guys are doing this. You're getting it printed. You're stapling it yourselves. You're folding it yourselves in your house. And how do you keep the content fresh? How did you make sure that it wasn't something that was, something that had changed between, a week ago and that time?
At the start, there was a lot of people that chipped in, weren't there, Nick? Really, there were a lot of different people, and I think everybody had their own little style and their own little flavour, so it kept it fresh.
Yep.
And it was a new idea, and the people took to it. The biggest thrill I think you get from producing things like this was looking at people at half time and they're reading your magazine, and you think, my goodness, we're actually doing something right here, and that was a big thing, really, as well. Because we wanted to give the fans an alternative voice.
It was always about giving Saints fans a voice. And as Clive said, it's not like today. You have to put yourself out to do it, and we did that. I don't know, blow my own trumpet or Clive's trumpet or that, but it's not like the day where you can just go on Instagram, social media. You had to go out and do something, and it wasn't like today where it's instant. We would print something a week before we could get a fanzine out on the street, and things could change a lot, but it never.
You just went with it.
Yeah,
sometimes it went horribly wrong, and sometimes it went horribly right, and it went fantastically right. That was just the gamble of doing things off the cuff a little bit.
Absolutely. So now, you guys started the fanzine, and what was the mood around the club in terms of ownership and players and things like that at the time when you did it? And are there any similarities to kind of maybe what we're seeing now with our owner kind of not really speaking out, or for some, maybe the fans, myself included, who weren't around then, what was it like back then?
Well, I'd say initially there wasn't a lot of anti the club. We were doing the second issue we produced when we took it back to Arsenal. We were like third in the league, weren't we? But it went down a little bit. But there wasn't the mass panic every time you lost a game. But it all did really gel in 1993 with Ian Brentford.
Yeah,
it went on from 91 to 93, it sort of went like that.
I mean, how many copies did you sell on an average weekend?
Well, if you think at the peak, At the start, it was very, very small. You're talking about a few hundred.
We probably sold 300 to 400 on the first issue, but that was way above our expectations.
Yeah, and then it just grew and grew. And if you think at one point, when the capacity of the Dow was only, the Dow was 15,200, there was 1,700 away fans, was it? 1,700. So your target audience is 13,500. And we were selling, at one point we were selling over 3,000 copies an issue. So that's one in four. Which,
how many staples does that take in your living room then?
Yeah, well, I've got holes in my hands to prove it.
Fair, at that stage we could afford to get it done professionally.
Yeah. But then you think, 1 in 4, that's a pretty good shout. It's a pretty good shout. But it wasn't about the numbers game, it was about what we were doing and hopefully the message we were giving out there. And of course, I guess the Bramford thing was a massive issue. As is, relegation's a massive issue for us right now, as is the ownership of the club. But in those days, it was all about Ian Bramford, who had been appointed, who had a really long ball tactics, host the ball forward to a big centre forward. And we had a wonderful player. Obviously, everybody knows Matthew Letizia. We had fantastic skill, and I guess we stood up for Matty, and we were standing up for a different style of football to what the manager was trying to put out there.
But what I think,
so in a way, we did clash right there.
Yeah, but what younger viewers, listeners, or listeners, won't really realise is that in that day, no one had a voice. You know, you either got you had a letter printed in the club programme, which was virtually impossible, or the Echo. So we gave people, say what you want, we'll print it. And that was it. Now, people, if you don't know what went on today at West Ham, you can be on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. But we gave people a voice.
Different sort of voice in those days, but it
is a different sort of voice.
It was something that people latched onto, definitely, and it became very popular within a couple of years.
Yeah. It went like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we stood on street corners and stood it with people going, "What the fuck's that?" And people going, "Oh, you're a twat." To like 3 months later going, "Oh, give me a copy, give me a copy."
That's true.
So I just got to keep holding on then, and eventually that'll stop the.
Sorry.
What the F is that? No.
But that's what it went to. People went from abusing us to being really supportive of us very, very quickly.
And wanting your product, basically.
Yeah, wanting the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And from then, it's kind of now expanded to the online, to the fan forum and things like that. And then we have the YouTube channel with Freddie and the fan cams, and then now even you guys have partnered with John, who does the Saints FC podcast. So you guys have kind of branched out. To you guys who were kind of behind the scenes and starting the original kind of fanzine, how do you like the kind of new angle to it? Do you like kind of involving all the other kind of fans?
There's good and bad. I think there's good and bad. I think the great thing is the aftermatch instant reaction, so people can see genuine fans who've been there at the game, rather than wait for the next, rather than wait for Sky Sports or wait for the papers the next morning. They can get that instant reaction from the fans and the gut reaction, I think. And so that's a good thing, but sometimes, I don't know.
It's very raw, isn't it?
It's very raw. That's fine. I think raw is fine. I just think
sometimes the first reaction is not the right reaction.
Yeah, I guess from you've only got to look at the managers that get caught out because it matters so much to them when something goes wrong for their team and they make a rash comment on media and then they get fined and they get banned or whatever. Fans are just the same. Fans are just the same, really.
Absolutely. And Freddie, for you, when you are coming into this, you are coming into to working with these two gentlemen. How did that happen? How did you become the guy who does the fan cams and things like that?
Well, the video channel really sort of branched off the back of the fanzine already. There was already an opening for for fan channels, and there wasn't a Southampton channel. there was an opening for a Southampton channel, and
Nice to meet you.
I'll take it in this.
Where was I?
We're back.
You branching off the fanzine?
Yeah,
there was no.
The fanzine and forum already had a few thousand subscribers, followers across Facebook, Twitter, and it was only natural to jump on that. There was you've seen a blow up of the whole Arsenal fan TV sort of thing, the whole sort of full-time Devils United channels, and I think it was only natural to go forward with the Southampton channel. I think slowly but surely we've got there as part of a fan community, and as a chap to say, the instant raw reactions is what people want to see. People come up to me and say, love the channel, love seeing the interviews, great to see it.
Yeah. It's got that same buzz that I think the fanzine generated in the paper format. So in the visual format, it's just a different. Times moved on, and now we're dealing with instant reactions after the game, and I think it's really good.
For me, living where I live in America, it is nice to see the fan channel because it's one of the first things I came in contact with. I actually came in contact with St. Mary's Musings, and then the fan channel were the first things I ever followed. And because other than that, you wait for the big media companies, whether here at Sky Sports and BT, for us it's NBC, and if you let them tell the story of Southampton, of the club and of the team, it is much different than when you sit down and I talk to you guys or I talk to Freddie. And so for me, I think that it is like you said, it's very, very raw sometimes, and sometimes you go like, oh, that guy is a bit over the edge, but for the most part, it is this is the story. This is how the fans feel. This is really how it is, not compared to what NBC says and things like that, because they tend to label us how they do, and then our chairman or whoever it was, Ralph Kruger, didn't really help when he came out and said we were a small club. So that's not my favorite thing. So I don't know what else. How else do you guys feel about the things? Is there anything else you want to say about the fanzine and things like that?
I think actually the thing is the fanzine, the forum, the video channel has given fans an uncensored opinion, because media companies like to gag fans. They like to be censored, family friendly, whereas the fan channels, it gives anyone from any background to say anything they like without censorship.
I think the Premier League's become horrendously corporate, and I think the fans giving their views is a breath of fresh air. I think it's something that they're giving their true feelings after a game, whether it be good or whether it be bad. And I think it's really good, because you get sold things with Sky Sports and Fox Sports, whichever it happens to be. It doesn't matter. They want to sell you a very crispy, lovely, clean-cut image. The reality is somewhat different. We're going to have bad days. We've had a terrible day today, but we're also going to have good days. So I think the fans giving their views after games gives you a much more accurate reflection of the emotions that you go through than what a clean-cut TV thing would do.
One thing I would add to that, actually, that I found recently. You'll get your turn, Nick.
Chomping at the bit there.
One thing I found recently, actually, is that the official channels, the official clubs, are actually monitoring fan channels to keep their finger on the pulse, to keep their fans' opinions as part of their feedback for their board meetings. We've seen the opening of a fans forum recently for Southampton. They done it a few years ago, didn't they, over through the Championship and League One days?
Yeah.
So now I reckon that the official club channels are looking at the fan channels, the unofficial channels, as an unadulterated, uncensored,
there you go.
uncensored view of things. See what the raw feeling is.
Well, that's probably a reversal back to when we went back to 1988-89, and the clubs did start to listen to what the fanzines said. They went back and that, and it goes round in cycles. What I will say in conclusion, I've known Clive for the best part of 40 years, sadly, but in all of my life, starting up the ugly inside, and what we did, and we gave Saints fans a voice, remains one of the things that I am most proud of in my life, both personal, professional, and whatever. And I think what we did do, what we set out to do when we set out to do it in 1988, and we've continued to do it. And things change, but at the end of the day, the Ugly Inside, whether it's a fanzine, whether it's a website, or whatever, still gives fans a voice. And whether we disagree with that, and me and Clive will disagree on things, it's still set out to do what it set out to do 30 years ago. And that, I'm proud of that. And I'll always remain proud of that. And that's all I've got to say about that.
I don't have anything to add to that, but I appreciate all the work you guys have put in for so many years. I mean, I was kind of thinking about it before. When you started this fanzine, I was 3 years old, and it's been going strong ever since. And so, fans like Freddie and I's age, when you guys are doing that is something that we can look to and say, it doesn't matter how bad it gets on the pitch or in the boardroom or whatever, we always have kind of this to look to and this to voice our opinion. And I appreciate that as one, and I'm sure many of the other fans out there do as well, as the subscriber numbers and everything else kind of shows you. And walking around with Freddie today is kind of like I was with a celebrity a little bit. Everybody saying hi.
We lied about our age.
No, I think I'd like to give credit to Freddie because, it's a different format. Me and Nick wouldn't have a clue how to. We have our own style, and we have our own.
We can
views
just
on
about work
things.
Skype, can't we?
We could just about work out Skype. So, I have to give credit to Freddie and his enthusiasm and the way that he gets all sorts of fans. I think that's really important. That it's not just one sort of a supporter, that he encapsulates all sorts of fans and their views. So well done, Freddie, and
absolutely.
Hopefully,
because to be fair, without Freddie, we would be
no, we would.
down
Me and Nick would be
wouldn't we?
hopeless. We're okay over a pint.
Yeah. Freddie has taken it on and moved it on where we couldn't do.
Yeah.
And given, as you say, we don't know how to do Skype or the arguments of Skype or whatever.
You can barely work a phone, Nick.
Yeah, I can't even work a phone call. Yeah. But things move on, and Freddie is the future, and that's what it has to be in football.
Yeah.
And that's what we did 30 years ago. We wanted to move on and move forward. We never wanted to look at the past.
Yeah, I look at some of the other fans' channels and the way that they interview people, and I just think, some are fantastic. They're dealing with hundreds of thousands of hits. We're dealing with, the best we get is about 5,000, but still, it's fantastic for us. Freddie does it very, very well. So,
I mean, out of interest, Nick, how many sign-ups have you got for the website? How many users are actively, more or less?
There's thousands. I mean, I couldn't say, purely and simply, because I couldn't say any day. I don't look at it at that because I've never set up. But it's like Clive says. We have at the time we had 3,000 people. We got something like 5,000 members for the website. But how many of them log on? How many of them are double members? I don't know. But
I don't think, to be honest, numbers is nice, but I don't think it really matters. I think the content matters more than the numbers, and what we're about. That fans can spout off.
Yeah. I mean, me and Clive will have many lively conversations about Saints, but I've known him for 40 years. I've firebombed his house twice, but apart from that... No, I haven't. No, one of them was someone else.
Well, once again, thank you guys for being willing to kind of talk about that. And if we can, spend a few minutes on today, not long because it wasn't great, and I don't really want to rehash the entire match, but this was, today against West Ham was my first match ever seeing Saints live.
It can only get better, Matt.
It's okay. And so, the trip over, I was telling Freddie, it was a long flight, kind of got here, and all of a sudden, about the time the second goal went in, the jet lag kicked back in, and it was a struggle from then on. But looking at our position, looking at with the new manager and things like that, what did you expect today? I mean, obviously we probably expected some sort of reaction coming out of the international break.
I expected a bit of fight. and that's what was sadly lacking. And okay, the third goal was a really good goal, but the other two were so avoidable, and and we haven't even worked the keeper. We haven't even worked the West Ham keeper. So massive disappointment today. Massive. It's not over, but I feel that we've lost the chance. We've lost ground, but we lost the chance to haul West Ham in.
The only thing going,
and now we're looking at the numbers keep dwindling each week. You think, oh, they're safe. Like Bournemouth, Brighton, even Brighton lost today. I think they're safe, but they lost at home. But you think today we've lost West Ham a little bit. 3 goals against as well, which ain't great for the goal difference. We're looking at Stoke and Huddersfield and Swansea, and got to do it for ourselves. We have to get in a situation where we're putting pressure on these teams. We can't see it happening right now.
The only thing going for us at the moment is the fact that other teams around us are somewhat dropping points. We looked at it today before the game. West Ham, we can leapfrog them. We can go out of the drop zone. We can put them in.
But the numbers are dwindling, Freddie. That's what I'm saying.
At the end of play, they're now 5 points. Now we're looking at Crystal Palace. Now we're looking at Huddersfield. Now we're looking at other teams around us, and that's the reality of the situation. We are relying on other teams around us to.
In the last 5-6 games, you've got to stop looking at what's gone on and what's not gone. And what we know from the past is the next 6 games. Doesn't matter about the last 32. I mean, we've been in worse situations many times and survived. So,
but do you see the spirit of 99? To 96, all the relegation eras.
No, we don't see the spirit. But in most of the years that we did survive, we didn't see that spirit with 4 games left either. So we support football teams out of blind.
And the thing is, you never give it up till it's over. No. Whilst there's still a chance, you still keep fighting, and there is a good chance. 2 games can turn it around. Where that's coming from, I don't know right now.
Exactly. I don't know either. But so it's mathematically impossible. Yeah. You don't give it up. And that's what football's about, isn't it?
Yeah.
This, and again, I said this at several occasions. This could still be the worst season in our history and could still be the best. That's the dichotomy of the situation. If we win...
I wish I knew what dichotomy meant.
So do I, let's just it. But the dichotomy, whatever that means that we could either have the worst season in living memory, or we could win the FA Cup, stay up, and have the best season statistically in living memory. So
we live in hope.
We do live in hope, but that's why we follow it, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why we're Saints fans, because we know, we know what we are.
Yeah.
And you just stick with the plot, and we go down. And it's going to be a very, very, very sad and hurtful day, but you bounce back up and you go again.
I've been saying to a few people, actually, if we go down, I think we have a better infrastructure than some of the Premier League teams that have dropped.
Infrastructure, yes. I'm not sure about the playing squad. I look at players today and I think, my goodness, what would they be doing at Barnsley? What would they be doing,
Burton,
Birmingham City, whatever, when they're kicking you up in the air and whatever. But let's just go and try and stay up first and meet that problem when it comes to it.
Absolutely. And I would say that our players technically probably better than a lot of sides around Premier League, Championship, anything else. But like we were talking about Cedric today, he's been pretty bad the last couple of weeks, and he's just getting pushed off the ball and he's getting out-muscled and things like that, and that stuff is not going to fly in the Championship from what I've seen, which is not a lot, I'll be honest.
International fullback.
But I was looking at the 3 internationals we had on the pitch today, in Tadic, Lamina, and Cedric, and they weren't great. They didn't impress me a whole lot. And go ahead.
No one really impressed. So you could say that the international like Cedric or Bertrand, who were experienced internationals. But then again, the players who you thought would have knuckled down, Austin and the like, they didn't impress. No one impressed.
I think the odds are against us, but that's sometimes when Saints are at their best.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is it? Who in the squad, or what has to happen for us to make that change? Because I thought a lot of it was going to be the manager. I thought that Hughes, at least it looked the second half in the FA Cup match, it looked like he said he did something at halftime and we came out, we're a different team. But now I would say this is 3 bad halves out of 4 under Hughes, and maybe you start to think maybe it's not just him, maybe there's some kind of culture, maybe it's a hangover, whatever it is. But what has to happen for us to improve and stay up?
Who can tell? Sometimes things happen that change seasons. And sometimes that's just a ball being rebounded off someone's arse into the goal. No one knows. You go there, you back the team, and hopefully it goes in the right
Just a little bit of luck, don't we?
Well, you'd hope that Mark Hughes can give the guys some confidence. I keep talking about confidence, but it really is. And I don't believe what happened today. We were so much in our shell, and West Ham just blew us away.
It was worse than Newcastle a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but the sad thing was we didn't learn from Newcastle in that we had a corner and then they broke away and scored a goal.
Same thing happened today, more or less. Tadic played a short corner. It
was almost identical.
Lemina dwelled on the ball. I think also it was an identical corner.
Yeah.
Lemina, mistake from him. Everyone's saying he never gives the ball away, but you can count on 2 hands down this season that he's giving it away.
You've just got to put it in the stands. You've just got it set.
Just even if it looks ugly.
Yeah. It's brilliant. Well, I've got to go for
So, looking ahead a little bit, we have Arsenal next week. We have Chelsea coming up. We have a semi-final against Chelsea. We have a makeup game against Swansea. We have a few other matches. Obviously, it goes without saying that we need points, but where do you expect to pick those points up? Because I've been saying since probably mid-February that by the end of March, if we weren't clear of the relegation zone, that we were in trouble. Looking at our run-in, so where are those points going to come from? If you can fancy a guess.
$1 million question, that one.
Relegation battles, as we've known from the point, we've had many where you don't know where the points are going to come. You just got a battle. You beat teams like Chelsea, which you don't expect to beat. You go to Arsenal next week and win when you've lost there. You don't know. All you got to do is get behind the team, keep behind them, and hope.
I think that's the nail on the head. That if we're going to survive, we're going to have to pull off a couple of surprise results.
We have to beat one of the big boys.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line.
We do. I've been saying it for quite a while now, and I think that's the reality of the situation.
All right. Anybody like to add anything else on this particular? I feel like it's yeah. But let's end on a slightly more positive note then, and I wanted to ask you to name an ugly inside 11. So maybe from your guys' time as
in the
doing
30
the fan,
years that we've
if you could kind of give us.
Let's go through goalkeeper. Who's the best goalkeeper?
Anthony.
What, in the 30 years?
Yes.
Yeah,
Shilton?
no, I'd go with that.
All right.
Shilton, no?
No, Shilton. We're talking 30 years since 88. Anthony Niemi, I think, right back.
Paul Jones?
No. Right back. Jason Dodd.
Gotta be.
Can't say that anyone between 1988 and better than Jason Dodd.
No, Jason Dodd. Yeah.
Centre halves.
Killer. Michael Svensson.
Svensson was good 2 years.
Do you go with a partnership, or just throw him in? Because the ultimate 11 was a throw up, wasn't it?
I would say Klaus Sunderland does have to be in that because he spent most of the 14 years of his time in. So, but I would also say
Cameron Cowell's got to be a shout, surely.
Cameron Cowell's good centre half. Richard
Mark
Hall.
Wright, maybe tail ends.
To be honest, in the terms of the ugly inside, I would say it's not a lot.
I'll go with Michael Svensson.
But Svensson and Lundegren.
Yeah.
Left back.
Was Mark Dennis about? I can't.
No.
Wayne Bridge.
Franny.
Matt Letizia did not put Franny in his 11, and he commented on it. It was pretty funny.
We didn't play enough games.
There you go.
Midfield, Letizia definitely.
But is he a forward or a midfielder?
Yeah. What are you guys playing
No,
here?
you've got to go 3-3.
4-3-3.
So you got to go
4-3-3.
Letizia.
As the 10. As
Yeah.
a 10.
Yeah.
So who would else be in there then?
Oh my goodness.
Up front, Ricky Lambert definitely.
Yeah.
Up
And
front.
Milano, I would say, being your midfield as well.
Oh, him and Letizia. You need a holding midfielder then.
What about Marsden?
No,
It was a workhorse. Matty Oakley, maybe.
no.
What, a holding midfield? No.
On midfield.
Jimmy Case.
Jack Cork?
Jimmy
No, oh yeah,
Case.
Jimmy
Yeah,
Case was
Jimmy
just about
Case.
there, yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Case.
Just about squeezed in.
It's
yeah.
up front, so Case.
This is worth a goal as well. He's
So who's
going
up
to get a
front
goal.
then? Lambert,
So we've
definitely.
got Case and Letiz in midfield.
Beattie?
Where's Lallana going? Is he going up top or is he going
Is
in
Lallana in
midfield?
the
No, we
three,
stick him in the free
James
midfield.
Beattie.
Okay, so
Lallana, Tiz, and
Lallana, Tiz
Case.
and Case.
So now you need
Up front
two
then,
wingers
you've got
now.
to go
Attacking.
Lambert.
Sorry, attacking.
It's more like
Yeah.
a 4-1-5.
You can't. You just got to go.
when we put it out on paper, we'll just
I think that's
kind
what
of
Mark Hughes said
we'll
today.
spread them
I
around on
think
the
that's
pitch a
where we
little
went
bit.
wrong.
I think that's where we fucking did get wrong. Lambert,
BT's got to be in there.
Beattie's a good shout.
Beattie's good, yeah. Beattie was good.
Pahars.
Yeah, there's another one. My goodness. Marion
Didn't quite
Pars.
make the Tiz's 11, did he?
And Ali Dyer.
Of course. How can we not consider him?
First man off the bench. Doesn't matter where he goes. First injury,
Right,
he's
best
in.
manager in 1988 now.
Strachan.
I'm going to be very unpopular here, and I'll go with Ronald Koeman.
Me too. So there we go.
You're outvoted, Freddie. 2-3. You don't even get a say here.
No, I'll
Yeah.
go with Koeman.
Is that? Are we done? Or
If you want to be, he seems like he needs to go. He's got a train to
I
catch.
did go for a piss.
He's doing the I need a wee dance.
All right.
About 3 pisses.
Well, thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate it. Pleasure to have you. All right, so I'm Matt. I'm from California. I am a Saints fan, and I witnessed my first Saints match today against West Ham. So I'm sorry, I must have brought bad luck with me.
Yeah, hi man, I'm Gary.
And I'm Robin.
Nice to meet you guys.
And you too.
And I hear you guys are from part of the London Saints. Is that?
Yeah, I was one of the founder members of London Saints back in the late 70s.
Okay.
And it's our 40th anniversary later this year.
Okay.
So unfortunately today is not one of our better experiences, but that's
For sure.
supporting the Saints. It's ups and downs, and I'm afraid you've had a big down today.
You know, I think it's all part of it, right?
Of course, that's when you support a football team. Sorry, soccer in your case.
No, it's okay. I struggle to call it football every time.
But you know, I mean, we've had some great experiences watching this over the years, watching the Saints. And I'm not sure how long you're over here for.
About a week or so, about 9 days.
You're going to miss the semi-final then.
I'm going to miss the semi-final.
Yeah, that's a shame because with the Saints, you never can tell. We could pull off a surprise.
Right, absolutely. So, in your time, you know, London Saints. When I'm being from the States, I look at how close you guys are to Southampton, and how you. But then I look at the time it takes when I say, how long does it take to get from London to Southampton, and I go, how does it take that long? So, what do you guys often go down to St. Mary's as a group, or how does that work?
Yeah. Well, what's happened over the years is that there's a lot of people from Southampton who were born there, moved up to London to work, and there's a lot of people who live in the London area who come down to support Saints. I mean, Gary and I have both lived in Southampton and lived in London, so that's how things got moving. Because it's although obviously it's small distance to the States, for the UK, it's and so it's like the social stuff as well as the footy. We have pool matches, darts,
Football tours.
Yeah, football tours abroad. Yeah. And not so much these days, but in the past we've had meet-ups with the teams, Christmas and the end of the season.
Okay.
Including this pub.
include this pub. Yeah.
Right here.
There's a few stories from upstairs of this pub.
After West Ham.
After we shut the radio off, you can tell me about it.
After West Ham some years ago, when we drew 3-3, in one of the great escape years, with a party upstairs here. So, it's got fond memories, this pub.
Well, hopefully we don't taint it with today's memories.
No. Well, it's going to be an omen, the fact that we stayed out the year, so coming here again could be a good omen.
So when the team is away, do you guys get together and watch the match somewhere, or
generally speaking, we go to the away games as well. So,
all right.
We went to Wigan last week, the FA Cup. So
that was a very interesting trip for me.
Yeah,
because it was absolutely impossible to get from Southampton via public transport to get to the start of the game, and it got even worse because the first 2 trains in that morning were cancelled. I stayed in Bath with a mate, and we got train up from Bristol. We had a very, very hairy taxi drive in the snow from Bath to Bristol. We got to the game, there were 4 minutes gone when we finally got there. We did stop for a quick beer.
Yeah, of course.
As you do. But that's the type of thing you do when you're a Saints fan, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You support through thick and thin, and if you didn't do that, it just wouldn't be worth it. It's about the camaraderie and the crack, as the Irish would say. I first met this man back in the 80s. Would have been 83, probably.
Long way back,
right? And I got a phone call from a mate of mine, a guy called Mick Stanley. He said, he was living in London. I was living in Bath at the time. He said, I've just met this bunch of loonies, Saints fans in London, right? And he said, they're going to Amsterdam on a football tour. He said, do you want to go? Well, of course, the answer was immediately yes. And we've been good friends ever since. And that group, there's probably about 10 of us from that first tour who still regularly go to football together. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, like for me, this is my family's first time outside of the United States. So we're over here. We're here for a week or so, a week and a half.
That's good. Yeah.
And we scheduled it because I tell my wife we scheduled it because the plane tickets were cheap. We scheduled it because Saints were playing in London 2 weekends in a row, and I was going to try to get to both games. That was really it. Unfortunately, now the Arsenal games moved to Sunday, but that's okay. But like you guys said, it's so much more about meeting, me sitting here with you guys and me talking to Freddie and Clive and Nick, and it's so much more about meeting everybody that I've interacted with online than the football. I'm not going to let that kind of ruin it. And I'm sure you guys have had some very fond memories of running into each other and going with each other outside the country and everything else. But any kind of really big fond memories that you've had as the London Saints or since the London Saints have been a thing, whether it's on the pitch or off?
We could tell you, but they're not really broadcasting.
Okay.
As a group, we've had football tours throughout Europe for many years, and we've had cricket tours as well. So we've been as far as Prague and Budapest and Lubyanka, Mallorca, Gdansk. These are always crazy trips. And like I said, you can't say everything, but they're always forged incredibly good relationships with other football teams and other cricket teams we've played. There's always been a bit of alcohol involved, as you can imagine.
Sure.
There's been quite a lot of charity work as well. We went to Sri Lanka. Do you remember the tsunami some years ago?
Yeah.
And the Christmas before that, we had booked to do a cricket tour in Sri Lanka. And just after that Christmas that happened, so we decided we were going to go and did a major charity fundraising event.
Basically Gaul in Sri Lanka was really badly hit, and we supported a local village and a local orphanage down there, and there is actually a fishing boat called the London Saints.
Oh, really?
That hopefully is still out there and actually, fishing and actually keeping the village alive. I do believe some of the guys still support the orphanage now. Equally, we also went to Trinidad and Tobago to play cricket as well. And this only works because of the years everyone's known each other, done things together. We've seen each other's families grow up and these things. And we recently supporting one of our members who's not been well. So the camaraderie goes beyond football. And it's been great relationships and friendships been formed over all of those years.
Absolutely. So if somebody wanted to get in contact with the London Saints, if maybe Saints fans move in from some other part of the country or some other part of the world into London, wants to get in contact with you, who would they go to, or how would they do that?
Mick Strickland is our current chairman. Yeah. There is a London Saints website, and I can't remember its address offhand.
www.londonsaints.com.
Okay, and we'll put that in the show notes for people.
That's available obviously worldwide, so if anybody wants interested, they could find out things on the website. So.
All right.
Yeah, it's there's many things we talked about sports teams, but we also collaborate in getting tickets for people.
I should have used you then.
For instance, if I'm not going to an away game, then through my season ticket and membership, we can get tickets for other people. Rather than the rigmarole of dealing with ticket buying, which is quite difficult, really.
And one thing about Britain is a horrendous price of train fares, which you may or may not find out if you travel outside London. And a lot of the Saints do group train fares, which are probably about half the price of if you walk up and buy a train fare. So.
Being from America, I look at the pounds and I don't translate it properly. I translate it 1-to-1, and so then when I get my credit card statement, it goes like, oh man,
close enough, mate. It's close enough.
So, usually, I'm glad it was. For a while, it was almost double, and I'm glad it's not there now. Otherwise, we probably couldn't have done it. But yeah, absolutely. The train. I have heard about the train fares. We are going to go down to Southampton and check out St. Mary's next week. Could do the Sea City Museum and look at all of the.
You're going to do the exhibition.
Absolutely, I have to. I have to while I'm here. So I'm really looking forward to it. But thank you guys so much for talking with me. I know it's kind of spur of the moment, and
it's a pleasure, mate.
And then I appreciate.
Just a shame it was such a.
Yeah.
It was that.
It's a poor performance.
It was awful.
It was.
It's not that bad all the time. But.
Yeah. No. It's. This was probably the worst performance of the season, unfortunately. But
that's for sure. But we have to carry on. We have to carry on, and it's
absolutely.
We've been through worse.
We're Saints fans.
We've lost to Portsmouth.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Okay. Pleasure. Thank you.
And that does it for episode 65 of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Once again, thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to Gary H., who is at BossGSH on Twitter, to Wiz at wiz.i.am on Twitter, and to Roy Vinner, who is only on Facebook and via WhatsApp. So thank you so much for arranging those tickets, and thank you to everybody who responded and helped spread the word when I was in need. I really do appreciate that. As always, we'd like to thank the We Are Southampton page on Instagram for all your matchday edits, polls, competitions, and more. Be sure to check out the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. Matt, who runs the page, has always been a huge help. He does the artwork for the show, and he's a real good dude, so go ahead and check out that page. Another reminder, we are partnered with The Saints Report, so for all your Southampton FC news and needs, be sure to check out The Saints Report on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. You will not be disappointed. All the music for this week's episode comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the outro song that you're listening to now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. Once again, congratulations to The Ugly Inside for being around for 30 years and continuing to progress and change and give fans a voice that they otherwise might not have. And also to the London Saints for 40 years of support, home and away, for organizing, helping, and everything else that they do. Lots and lots of stories that I got to hear about them, by the way, off the record were fantastic. And I particularly enjoyed the conversation. So thank you to Robbie and Gary for that. Thank you to Nick, Clive, and Freddie. Thank you to all of you for accepting me and hosting me and helping me as I attempt to navigate your country and your city of London and Southampton. And I can't thank you enough. So I think that is it for this week. We will be back next week, as I said, with an interview with Anthony Niemi. And I believe I'm also going to be able to talk to John from the Saints FC podcast later this week, and hopefully Ben as well in a week's time or so. So thank you to everybody for listening. I will talk to you next week. Appreciate it. Until then, until next time, remember that together we march on.